one mama, one mama, oh. Come on, come on, come on, let's do it now. My baby, my fine baby, my baby, my sweet mama. Let me tell you something about this, my sweet mama. The only woman who give it me to grow and make me a man. Thank you, for the love you showed me. Without you, my bamenda, I know for the existing. Thank you, my bamenda. Thank you, my homeland. God bless you, my mama. For the strength you say for your children. I am proud of you, you are rich. I am proud of you, you are strong. You defeat the whole Cameroon, like Africa in the one land. My bamenda, my fine baby. My bamenda, my sweet mama. Some people say you too small to change the country. Others say you're not big good for making things work. But just a name in this country, people them they shiver. The way we are picking them, they also people them they wonder. Thank you, my bamenda. Thank you, my homeland. God bless you, my mama. For the strength you set for your children. I am proud of you, you are rich. I am proud of you, you are strong. You defeat the whole Cameroon, like Africa in the one land. My bamenda, my fine baby. My bamenda, my sweet mama. My brothers and sisters all over the world, whatever you do, always think about your home. It's a place where you will come back some days. Let's clean it up, let's build it love. Thank you, my bamenda. Thank you, my homeland. God bless you, my mama. For the strength you set for your children. I am proud of you, you are rich. I am proud of you, you are strong. You defeat the whole Cameroon, like Africa in the one land. My bamenda, my fine baby. My bamenda, my sweet mama. All the hardworking sons and daughters of this great northwest region of Cameroon, I want you to stand up and dance, because the time has come when we have to put our heads and hands together in order to build this our lovely and only region. For your children, I am proud of you, you are rich. I am proud of you, you are strong. You defeat the whole Cameroon, like Africa in the one land. No say now you be the best. Who no say now you be one mama, one mama, oh. Come on, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our platform once more. Today, Friday, is 6 minutes after 5 p.m. in Washington, D.C., same time in New York, and we have 6 minutes after 2 in California. Today, we have very hot debate because we have two strong intellectuals who will be animating us with rich information on the ongoing crisis, especially trying to answer the question that most Cameroonians are asking, especially facing the crisis we have at the moment, and the BIA speech too. So we're welcoming on board now Dr. Nicholas Ngu Santos. Welcome, sir.
It's my honor.
Today we really are going to have a great show. Welcome, Dr. Raymond.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks to the audience.
Today, you guys, I will give you the laxity of introducing yourselves because you carry a very long resume here, because I see you've been putting your head very focused, especially when it comes to your vision you had talking about studies. I will give you the laxity of doing that introduction for two minutes before we dive into the debate. Doctor, let me hear from you.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah.
Hello, viewers. You know me very well. I'm Dr. Nicholas Santos, a famous activist for the Ambazonia Revolution, the Ngambe man and psychoanalyst of the revolution. You know that prior to engaging in politics, I've been an academician all through my life. I had a bachelor's degree in history and political science as the first batch graduate from the University of Boya in Fako, the headquarters of our capital of our country to be. And then I also have a master's degree in psychology and counseling from Capella University in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and a doctorate degree in applied clinical psychology, that's mental health. And so I am in terms of the revolution, I've held the position of a spokesperson for the East Coast of the United States, appointed by His Excellency Seseko Julius Ayok Tabe. I was State House Press Secretary for the virtual government of Sako Ekome, Samuel, and I was also on the Secretary of State for Health and Social Services. Currently, in this revolution, so far as Ambazonia is concerned, or the quest for Ambazonia is concerned, I am the Vice Speaker of the Transitional Restoration Council, which is like the Vice Speaker of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, our newest nation on planet Earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nicholas Ngu Santos. This is history in the making because Dr. Nicholas Ngu Santos doubles. He is one of the great grandchildren of Dr. Django Foncha, so who was there at the time when history was making when it comes to the Ambazonia crisis. And today he's on the platform again to talk about trying to fix things that were not fixed when his great-granddad was alive. I will be turning now to Dr. Raymond. Please, sir, welcome to our show once more.
Thanks one more time. Once again, my pleasure to be in this studio. Thanks to the chief engineer over there, Mr. Lati. I say all my blessings to this great nation of Cameroon that we all love. I'm happy to see my good friend, my elder, Dr. Santos. It's been like over 12 years we haven't seen, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's true.
That's true. So it's a pleasure to see you, always to learn a lot of stuff that, mostly that your grandfather, John Gufoncha, that I love so much. My dream was to see him before he passed. He did a lot for our country. Thanks to the moderator. So we're here today to talk and discuss about our land, motherland. So,
sure.
So today, I prefer you, sorry not to call me doctor, just say Raymond.
Yeah.
I'm here to represent this big charity NGO. We just decided to base the headquarters over here to assist women and children underprivileged in war zones. We have a lot to do in Cameroon for this struggle. We are on the field. We've been on the field since day one. So I just want to emphasize that. And we still have more to do. So we have to be cautious in what we say. We have to think about those people. So all my prayers to all the affected families, service members, military people, police, Ambazonian people, supposedly. All these youngsters hiding in the bush, I feel sorry about them. But there's no issue, there's no problem that doesn't have an end. No matter what, we come to solution. Solution is near. We just have to sit and agree. And then I say thank you to President Paul Biya to open the dialogue. So that's what I have to say for now. So
thank you, guys, for honoring our invitation to grace our platform. I heard you say thank you to President Biya for opening to dialogue. President Biya has political pundits say he has overstayed this dialogue. It's 3 years that blood has been flowing, spilling, and Biya, why would Biya sit this quiet and come after 3 years to give a kind of agitated speech that most crisis management specialists say is a kind of speech that didn't even have a headway? And you seem to say thank you, Biya, for opening up to dialogue after 3 years when many people have died.
Yes, to me that you
yes.
asked the questions.
Yes.
To me, I did watch this speech like about 4 times because I feel concerned, and the children that we take care of, these abused women and all these neglected women suffering and all this, everybody's affected with this crisis. I didn't see the speech as you say. You see, it's not like kind of it's a speech that's been waited for so many times, for so long time. Everybody was waiting for this dialogue, and he did it. You see, we know him. He takes some time. He takes time to do some things, and this has been expected by people, most people, and everybody feels relief. To me, after this speech, I think this speech was welcome.
Yeah, everybody's
so it wasn't like kind of excited speech. It was a peaceful speech, but a focus on the real problem that we're going through now.
Yes, everybody's relieved, like you say, but after 3 years, and many souls have been lost, and 3 years, Biya comes out with a speech opening to dialogue, and he has kind of already given defined grounds for dialogue by already asking the countries hosting some extremists to repatriate them back. And who would Biya be ready to dialogue with?
Who is extremists?
I'll give back that question to you. President Biya says the extremists, like leaders of the struggle, people who are like fueling the crisis from the diaspora. I know this is talking about people like Yabacho, people like Mark Barretta, Eric Tato, who are putting the pressure on social media and perhaps relating with the ground zero, as it's generally called.
I feel like I'm being targeted, but I never want to talk about politics because I represent an NGO. But yes. Regardless, I give my own personal opinions, right?
Sure.
When hospitals are burned down, when people from the diaspora send money to youngsters to go buy fuel and then set an hospital on fire, is it fair? Is it good? That's criminal. These people should be sentenced, arrested. It's not only about Mr. Biya. If Mr. Biya doesn't do it, we will do it. NGOs, we know these people. Yeah. We're going after them.
It remains to be justified too, because
absolutely, we know what we're talking about. Yeah. Okay, I represent a very strong NGO respected at the United Nations. We know who is doing what, and then I praise this guy Mark Barretta, who confessed and apologized to the nation. He said they lied to them, that he was part of it. He said, we have the video.
But equally fast, he said that video was a kind of a photoshopped video because Mark Barretta is still on the struggle side.
Sir, he said he did the video and then leaked everything. He said this was a scam. Okay? At least he's honest to say that.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
We know that people make money off this war, but what we don't like is that when people lose their life because people want to make money, sign up contract is not good. Everybody's affected. We don't like that.
Yes, satellite images.
We don't like when children are killed, when people run into bushes, when army forces are being beheaded, pregnant women are being beheaded, the stomach
I think we are going so far.
Yeah,
We're
I'll
going
come
too
back
far.
to you because satellite images showed the military burning houses. That was live.
We can get to that.
I think
Yeah,
we'll
surely
get into that later.
We'll get into that.
We're setting the ground for the so-called
discussion.
the discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because probably before you solve a problem, you really need to dig deep before you come to that issue.
Thank you.
To identify the root.
Okay.
That's what most Cameroonians are asking. Don't just go solve a problem without getting to the root.
Thank
I
you.
will turn to you, Dr.
Yeah, I agree with
Nicolas Santo.
Yeah.
You have given our televiewers a great resume of what is very long, that even if you had 4 minutes, you could not even put it out there. I know you have a whole lot, two of you, to contribute to make Cameroonians gain one thing or two from this debate. Do you have something to like?
Yeah, I'm very happy my friend has recused himself from any political discussion by being under the umbrella of peace. Because by saying that you are representing a peaceful organization means that maybe I'm facing the wrong person in this debate, because I was waiting for a real hard politician, because I'm here to crack down some very important stuff so far as this thing is concerned. Let me tell you that this conversation has to do, first of all, with us understanding what is meant by the stages of the revolution, what is meant by dialogue, the definition of dialogue, what dialogue is and what dialogue is not, what dialogue is and what a monologue is, and whether this dialogue does meet the expectations of the people who have been yearning for dialogue for all these years after the atrocities and mayhem that has been meted on our people. I will begin, first of all, by identifying that in a revolution, which is a change process, you have, if we go by James Prochaska, theory on the stages of change, we have the pre-contemplation stage of change, which is long ago that we have been in, when we started clamoring after our territory was stolen, our independence was stolen by, first, La République du Cameroun in connivance with French Cameroon and the British. Our territory was stolen, they robbed us of everything, and they handed us over to another black country to recolonize or annex us, what we call neo-colonialism, by a black nation, by another black nation. And that's where we landed here, right here. We started protesting, we started contemplating on ways on how to go about the change. We left the pre-contemplation, we got into the contemplation. From the contemplation, we went into the preparedness. We started getting ourselves prepared. Since 1994, 93, and 92 at my Mount Mary maternity, right up to 94 at the Bamenda AAC2, we tabled grievances that were never listened to. And then we went into the 90s, which was the action stage. In the action stage, we came through a political party called the SDF. We won the election and Mr. Biya robbed it from us. We continued protesting and he's continued to rob future elections, which was that was the action stage. Then we moved into the maintenance stage where we had to prepare and go actively into a revolution. We went into this revolution for 3 years, and 3 years forward now, he gave us deaf ears, not only for him to turn around and do things in the same style that he has been doing things all the time, by coming up with cosmetic solutions, thinking that this is going to be a solution to the problem. A dialogue, the definition of a dialogue is that a dialogue comes from Greek words. You have dialogos and die. You have logos and die. Logos and die. Logos means word or words, and die means true. So a dialogue means looking through words to try to gain a deeper understanding and meaning. It's a venue whereby you people start understanding yourselves without any superiority. You move into somewhere without any preconditions, and everybody begin to talk about what has gone wrong or what has gone right with no judgment. Nobody should be judged as being the winner or a loser in a dialogue. People should not mistake a dialogue with a mediation. You should not mistake a dialogue with arbitration. You should not mistake a dialogue like a winning football match where you are going to win it all. And in dialogue, there should be no superior authority. All of us go on a level plane, just as it's said in law or any other way in political studies, that he who goes to equity should go with clean hands. And there should be no barriers to dialogue, which means that all the parties in conflict have to be present in that dialogue, whereby people begin to express themselves. In the United States here, we have town halls which are open to the general public, where politicians invite people, they move into the town hall, everybody just begin to talk. As you are talking, the other party is listening to you. You start building a trusting relationship. You start listening to other ways by which people can communicate and understand another. You start seeing another person's spirit. You start realizing that somebody has another school of thought that you did not have at the time you were reasoning this way. But in this situation where there have been escalation of violence, people have died, people in the forest, people have been wounded, villages have been burned, towns have been burned, and there's mass atrocity, and that trust has been lost. You don't just bomb with putting a monologue of appointing few people to go and sit with you and talk amongst yourselves in the usual style that you call it that's going to be a solution to a crisis. This is farce, this is a charade, and this will not be tolerated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. I'm really enjoying it. I loved that lecture. This has given a whole lot of details about an understanding about a dialogue and how a platform should be set such that would favor what we call dialogue. I know our televiewers are really enjoying this lecture. That is why we brought two great men today, because if the government had perhaps consulted people of your caliber, that would have softened a whole lot of things, because I'm seeing a lot of peaceful approach to what Cameroonians were looking up to. This is an interactive platform. I have people who will be interacting to and perhaps asking questions to you. I can see Ani Vardivas. Equally, we have Don Pablo Tico, who is also Paul Barak, saying I'm in the hiding because, Mr. Speaker, I'm in the hiding because I'm afraid of the military. My younger brother who's watching from Dubai, Kuru Maksenke, I say hi to you. I'll come back to you. He has given us a great lecture.
Sure,
and you two entered with a very strong one, which means that I have two great people that if Cameroon were given listening ears to people out here, they would have equally gained something. And before I bring you in, I will be very soon introducing our consultant, Mr. Kenneth, who is already just stepped in.
A great person that I know.
So he's the person behind the strength of this platform.
I know Kenneth.
Yes. Let me come back to you. This dialogue, did it come the right time?
No matter, all wars always end with peace. Dialogue. There's no war that never ends. We've had war that lasts 50 centuries. They always end. So now let's talk about the dialogue. Since he was there, I'm so happy and so delighted that my brother Sanko, Dr. Sanko, is talking about dialogue. So when I watched the President Biya's speech, he talked about dialogue, he talked about diaspora. So what I was expecting is what he said, that diaspora will be included in the dialogue. So what I want my brother Dr. Sanko is that if he sees this delegation coming to see us here, he must let me know, inform me, because I want to be there too. Okay, as an NGO, we will have a lot of work to do in the DDR. We have a lot of experience in doing DDR. Okay, we want to be involved because it concerns our country, our children, our mothers, our orphans. Okay, so Dr. Sanko, that's an assignment to you. We all have to get involved in this dialogue. The diaspora is concerned, and then they have an open door for the diaspora. So we'll be included too, please.
Okay, can I respond to it?
That is really the wish of Cameroonians, because we have a whole lot of diaspora.
Yeah, it is in the program.
Yes, yeah. But there's a one worry when Biya requested the countries hosting.
You didn't say President Biya.
President Biya, it's like you said I should call you Raymond.
Because you're the moderator.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We have to give respect
thank you
to
for that one.
Who is the president.
No, that's the president.
Thank you.
His Excellency President Biya.
Thank you, sir.
It's not any
I will call him.
Sure.
Just we have to give him.
He has governed Cameroon for 30-something years. It's not giving. It's somebody who must be very strong to have had that position for this length of time.
Let's say so, yes.
And we have known peace. So
thank you.
The problem that is putting us at the crossroads now is because for some time now, 3 years down the lane, Cameroon has been boiling. Cameroon has been the news, not for any good news, but for very bad news, very sad one. We've never seen people slain and killed and put on the roadside, children, pregnant people, murdered. We've seen horrible pictures, but there's not the crimes doesn't go just to one side. We see the Ground Zero forces, we see the military too. So dialogue has come a little bit too late. That is the kind of thing people are talking about, and it is now saying it's a kind of the international pressure, the heavy weight of the pressure from the UN and international bodies, especially that a UN summit is coming in days ahead. So President Biya was kind of playing that game to equally fit the UN with that speech. What is your take about that?
Saying that President Biya is playing a game, I don't know. I don't play politics. I don't do politics. Okay? Me, I'm here for peace. That's what we're expecting. So we can go on the field. Okay? I have gifts. Look at this. Can you read this a little bit?
Yes.
To your audience. What does it say?
I can see this is a business owner or Raymond Banque.
That's our foundation?
Yeah, Titi Foundation Insurance, yeah.
Okay, what do you see there? Read it.
Like Gettysburg MD, see the address is 9127.
Where's that?
Chelsea.
What does it say?
Yeah, you
pay?
have, yes, this is, the address is at Gettysburg, Maryland.
They say pay to the order of?
Yes, pay to the order of. Yeah, that one slipped a little bit down.
Those are
Mm-hmm.
donations.
Mm-hmm.
That will go to take care
the
of
foundation.
children.
That's a great.
So it must stop.
Yeah, sure.
We walk in days and night. I just opened my mailbox. I don't know the amount that is inside. It's coming from Minnesota. So we need to walk on the piece. The dialogue is there. We have to walk around this framework. Okay, war is not good. We lose so much. It must stop. The dialogue is there. Let's start somewhere. Okay?
Yes.
The offer is there. Let him up and do it and make it happen. Everybody must bring his own input. Our input is our NGO. We can demilitarize. We have programs for all this. We did it. If you go to IET, you see what we did over there. These children must go to school.
Okay, I'll push this question from this Switzerland. Swiss say war ends with peace and dialogue, but with the parties involved, but Biya want to avoid Ambazonians who are the major stakeholders of the war. You have anything to say about this?
In war, there's no winner, there's no loser.
Sure, because both sides lose people.
Exactly.
Yes.
Not only that.
And again,
the cost
the
of
economy
war.
equally, because it's been weighing heavy on Cameroonian economy.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
Since 2005, we've been in Haiti. Do you know that during the Second World War, you know how much money Haiti gave to America? Cash money? Millions. They were rich. Do you know what they're poor today? Because of war.
Sure. Nobody would ever want to have war in his backyard.
They're poor because of war.
Sure.
Okay, I have something to say.
Dr. Santos.
And also,
Okay,
don't say I'm cutting off. Sorry, Dr. Sanko.
Okay, you have like...
Yeah, it's concerned the moderator. You say the dialogue came late.
3 years.
It could have been even more than that. What if it was 10 years? The dialogue
But why
is
would
there.
it take that long?
My friend, we want peace. It is there.
Sure.
Do we want it later or now?
Mr. Moderator, I think I'm long overdue to say something.
Sure. Okay, Dr.
The
Sanko.
first thing is that I'm happy again that my learned colleague on the other side is disavowing himself from political entanglement because he's working for a peace foundation. He's here for peace. But one thing remains clear, that if I want to argue in this debate from the side of whether we should have dialogue or not, I will first of all raise a lot of questions. Whether this is dialogue or a monologue, whether all conditions that guaranteed in international law, constitutional law, managerial policies have been met with regards to crisis intervention, crisis resolution, problem solving, settling disputes, when dialogue is appropriate or inappropriate, whether it's the right time, and whether all the conditions for dialogue have been met, because there are preconditions to guarantee dialogue. It has been written. We are not rocket scientists.
I think that's why
I'm
you have to
coming.
take-
I'm coming.
Yeah,
Please.
sure.
We are not rocket scientists that want to reinvent the wheel, because what Mr. Biya is doing is that, first and foremost. Let me be clear there. I will appreciate the only thing I can appreciate about Mr. Biya's calling of dialogue is that just a mere thinking of dialogue means that there are two things. Either he has been touched by the Holy Spirit, or he is losing the war by military means that he started. There are two things. Either he has been touched by the Holy Spirit, or he is losing the war. And we can see that he is losing the war because he opted for a military option that has failed. He thought Ambazonia was going to be defeated in under 2 weeks. Here we are in the third year, getting to the fourth year, and now the people with bare hands and with leaves, that he burned their houses, burned their schools, and chased them into the forest, have come out now like wild cats, and they're pouncing on his military. I do not condone with the human life lost on both sides. I do not. But the fact is, there comes a time where a human being must practice self-defense. Self-defense to emerge stronger in the face of an aggressor who is killing with impunity. The point now is, let us look at when he did call this dialogue. As you have stated, there are international pressures on him. He wants to play a tactic because he was addressing the international community. He was not addressing the parties in conflict. The parties in conflict here have leaders that he has in captivity. You have Kamto on the other side that he stole his elections, who is in jail. And you have President Seseko, Ayok Julius Tabe, who has, imagine an illegitimate president jailing two legitimate presidents because they have the mandate of the people. Release these people and put them all on the line, and Paul Biya stand here and let's count by democratic election by standing behind your candidates, and you will see who will have the shortest line. Biya will have the shortest line. You know what I mean? Put the three candidates on a line and tell all Cameroonians and Ambazonians to line up behind their candidates, Kamto, Biya, and Seseko. You will see Biya will have a very short line. So, an illegitimate president knows that he has two legitimate presidents in captivity under his holding. Then he is going to dialogue with Maroons from all over the world, chasing the shadow to dialogue with who? Take those people out of prison, Mr. Biya, sit with them and show us an example of dialogue.
That is
show us an example of dialogue. Biya should show us an example of dialogue by taking Kamto and Seseko and start the dialogue in the Unity Palace.
You are saying the mind of many people, platform followers here.
That is it.
I have
Number second point.
Francis Nana who just
yes.
joined, and Steve Moso. They are saying very true, Santos.
Yes.
Biya should free us,
Take that.
And Seseko.
If you don't want to free them,
yeah.
If you don't want to free Seseko and Kamto, invite them to the Unity Palace, sit with them, and start the dialogue there. Biya is not a demigod that he cannot talk with his fellow humans. He should invite them to the Unity Palace. Grant amnesty to us to come for that dialogue. If I'm granted amnesty, I will be in that dialogue on the table. So let him grant amnesty to us, because he is barricading us not to be able to partake in this dialogue, because Biya is afraid of the new intellectuals of Ambazonia breed or of Cameroonian breed, because they will look him on the face and they will tell him exactly as it is. Mr. Biya is scared to stand any discussion, because when he stands the discussion, the history that he never taught us in school, the history that he barricaded the syllabus for us not to know, which we have now known, is the history that is fueling this revolution. The Francophones do not know anything about whether we had been an independent country on our own long time ago. They don't even know that we were given a fraudulent plebiscite question to decide on whether to join, to have independence by joining La Republique, or to have independence by joining Nigeria. Look at the question, how it's fast and flooded with fraud. How do you say independence? You say independence by joining, independence by association. It is either association or independence. We are not secessionists. We have never been secessionists. Biya seceded from the union of the Federated State of East and the Federated State of the West that became the Federal Republic of Cameroon. He reverted to his own name of East Cameroon to be the Federal Republic of Cameroon, which means he seceded from the union with the English Cameroon that came to have independence by association. So he is a terrorist, he is a secessionist. But he is reversing everything and selling that polemics to the world to buy. So we have to first start by identifying who is playing the wild chess game here. Biya is playing the wild chess game. He's dealing with us and deceiving the international community to make us look like maquisards and terrorists.
Okay,
he brought military and destroyed all our villages, all our schools. For any dialogue to take place, let me conclude. For any dialogue to take place, there are conditions that have been given by this interim government that must be respected. One, you must free all the detainees. Free all them so that they can participate in this dialogue. Two, choose a venue that is free. A neutral venue whereby Bia's military will not arrest people who are coming even from the diaspora or whatsoever, be in any African country. Because he listed that the military will be present, which means that he is bent to pick people in this dialogue that who are coming from abroad, right? Yes. Then again, free Kamto also. The other political prisoners, although we ambassadors will say we are long gone and La Republique issue should be solved with La Republique. But we know that we have our independence already because we have our colonies and our counties have their commanders, our counties have their chairpersons, our counties have their own self-defense forces. We are controlling our ground. We are controlling it. So if they do not meet these conditions for mediation or for dialogue, then they should consider this dialogue a debt on arrival.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. We have Steve Moso, we have GKC. They are saying, Dr. Santos, thank you for that, because if Biya doesn't free the leaders in jail, who is he expecting to dialogue with? So he's setting a platform that will favor just him. It's possible, according to one follower here, Kurumak Senke, who says all the way from Dubai, Biya should not put the strongest people who call the shots in jail and expect to nominate people from his own field and dialogue with them, same like he did by nominating government delegates over the mayors. That is a reaction. Doctor has been elaborating a whole lot on dialogue, illustrating how dialogue should be on a level platform. What would you have to say about this dialogue that is kind of preconditioned?
I did listen to him carefully, very carefully.
Yes.
I love what he's saying.
And, yeah.
I'm coming back again on the offer dialogue from the president, okay?
Yes.
The diaspora is concerned. I want to be part of it when they come here to see us.
Sure.
That I'll say, I would love Dr. Santos to be part of it too. And come, sit, and then submit this proposal. That's all. It's simple.
That's great.
Right? Okay, let's move on then.
Yeah. I think tonight we'll really have a peaceful debate. Both debaters are all for peace.
Yeah.
We don't have anybody who's like trying to stand in the way for peace. The thing here, we just want to have a good, organized and
move on with our business and fix the country.
Yeah, sure.
So that everything be fine for everyone.
You know, I must say and I must commend you because you are not like counteracting my positions. You know, the truth can never be hidden. The truth speaks for itself. Nobody expected to find himself in a revolution. I was not born for a revolution. I became a revolutionary overnight. Why? I'm a humanitarian professional. I make good money. I earn close to $10,000, $8,000 at times. And I make a lot. I don't have any worries about Cameroon or Ambazonia being an independent nation or not. But the point is, you can't stand aloof and close your eyes to the wickedness of a tyrant who has overdue his time. It is time for us not to even be talking about Paul Biya anymore. An 87-year-old man who has had all for himself has to liberate the people of French Cameroon as well. Although we don't mind about that part of the world because we are concerned about what rightly belongs to us, which is Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons. You can't come into our territory, rape all our resources, rape our girls, kill our women, kill our children, and take all what is from us, our resources, without employing any child from that region to man any corporation or any company, and you keep on distorting our academic system, our infrastructure, kill all our marketing boards and all economic sector of our country. Then you expect us to come and sit with you for a dialogue in your own model, your own style, without meeting the preconditions of dialogue that has been given by this interim government. It's high time Biya should know that the people of Southern Cameroon have a government. He can call it a virtual government, but it is controlling the territory by the basis of it effectively locking down and opening up its territory when it wants. That is the truth. We must stay by the truth. Because if Biya does not meet the conditions of this dialogue, the way dialogue has been tailored to be, Then this is a charade, like a repetition of the large débat, grand débat, a charade like the when the All Anglophone Conference met in Bamenda and gave the Bamenda Proclamation, which he never implemented. A charade like the Sovereign National Conference, which he has never respected. Everything is a fraud because he's still using the same strategies, implementing the same thing and expecting different results. This is where we are right now, and they want to tell Mr. Biya that the interim government has its conditions for holding a dialogue where all of us will participate. We are not against dialogue, but the fact is that dialogue should not be misconstrued with a monologue.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. We have Kagame Vitalis, who is saying same thing like Nyonji Ngenge, who's in Europe, and also we have Don Dinga. All of them are saying the same thing, that if Biya is ready to dialogue, he should really make the platform be a level land for dialogue. I will be turning my mic to you, Doctor. Biya has finally set the pace for dialogue. If you were to be part of those to put on a point, what would be your kind of proposals that you would make to make sure that things move well?
Which aspect?
Yeah, any aspect, because we are looking towards a peaceful, either one Cameroon or a peaceful independent Ambazonia and an independent Cameroon, so that we have good neighborhoodness. What would be your proposal?
What do you mean by good neighborhood?
In a situation where separation is the only thing that comes out of the dialogue, at least there should be peace during the talks. In the situation where Cameroon is to remain one, with Ambazonia and Cameroon united, that is what we want, that there should be peace, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes. So what can you bring to table to make this thing really be a very level land kind of discussion?
Oh, okay. I agree with you when you say when Cameroon remains one.
Yes.
Okay. There are a lot of things to be fixed. What I have to say first of all is that it be no more gunshot.
Sure.
Okay. We want all these kids, all the youngsters that are in the bush to come out, drop down the gun, turn themselves to the DDR location, just like they're doing. We love that because we have a program for them. Okay. We're not relying on the government. We have answers. Okay. We have sponsors. We go and help them.
But can you be fighting with somebody who is well armed? You say drop the guns and come
Sir,
to table.
What I'm saying
What
is
if
that
you come out of the bush and you are shot?
No, it's something real. They're stepping out. We saw the video. Okay, these youngsters are coming out. They turn themselves in.
Equally, they are counteracting information that prisoners were freed to come and testify that they were former Ambazonians because they are not even recognized by the Ground Zero fighters.
I'm not talking about prisoners. I'm talking. The DDR centers are open, are available. They're effective. These youngsters are turning themselves in. They're being well treated.
We're saying the same thing,
yes.
but this public opinion holds that the youngsters you say that are coming back from the bushes are those who have been liberated from the prisons to come and testify as
to spoilers of the revolution, enablers.
People are coming.
Enablers and spoilers.
Yes, that's the information reaching our news.
I would love to talk to some of them.
With a lot of justifications.
I would love to have them. I would love to talk to them.
Like
let me step in there even.
Yeah, I will get back to you, Doctor. It's like the same case because we, on this platform, we are very neutral.
Right.
We get information both from the left and the right. It's like the same case when they say they brought prisoners from Boya to come and march during the 11th February just to demonstrate how the show was great. And finally, the fallacy was debunked.
We have no information about that.
Yes, that's what we are saying. The same thing you are saying. People are coming out of the bushes and testifying.
We have videos and testimony, yes.
Yes,
we do.
When I mentioned a video justification that the military were caught on satellite images burning houses, what was your reaction?
If it's true, it's not good.
That's it. I expected to hear that, so I can rest my case. Doctor?
Okay, there's one point I should make categorically clear. Paul Biya.
President Paul
Biya. Excuse, okay, let me say President Paul Biya, right? Yes. President Paul Biya of French Cameroon. President Paul Biya of French Cameroon moved his French colonial military into our territory, killed people, committed arson, raped, burnt villages, chased people into becoming refugees and IDPs. He hasn't called back those troops into the camps, into the military barracks of La République du Cameroun. They are still there. And these people who are in the forest defending themselves, He's telling them to drop their weapons and come out without recalling his troops and claiming he's preparing for dialogue. A precondition for dialogue should be that all those colonial troops in Ambazonia, southern Cameroon, must be withdrawn as well. If they are withdrawn, then we can tell our boys who are defending themselves with sticks and machetes and then guns to give dialogue a chance. Without fulfilling all this, our boys will not drop their guns, because I know he is going around taking prisoners and taking people, same cosmetic solutions. Bia will always like the back door of solving problems instead of going ahead to solve the problem. I've just mentioned to you one way of solving this problem. This problem that has dragged for over 4 years is so easy to resolve. Okay. Because Bia has his, President Bia has, he has Seseko Julius Ayok Tabe under his custody. He has Kamto Morris under his custody. If he sits in Etude with them and discuss with them, or move to a neutral venue and discuss as the beginning phase for the dialogue, then the entire nation will follow the president who is able to lead by example. You can't be a president not leading by example, then you want your population to demonstrate example. So, for the military, I wanted to step in to bring this point, that if those guns are not dropped, President Bia will not succeed in any dialogue or any negotiation or any arbitration. Why? Because it's only the interim government of Ambazonia. It's only the interim government of Ambazonia that is capable of telling the troops to drop down arms. Nobody else. If President Bia likes it with Atanga Ponji and the others, they should try and see. Try and see if Seseko Julius Ayok Tabe and the other leaders who are in the diaspora do not work with all the commanders of the 13 counties to inform all their people to drop down weapons. It is a death on arrival. I want to make that clear.
Thank you, Dr. Santos. Before we continue, and when I will be handing the mic to you, that will be when we are coming back from a commercial break. We'll observe a 2-minute commercial break before we get back to you. Okay. So prepare your points, because I see you are boiling with solutions to answer back to Dr. Santos. I like the scene going on here tonight. Thank you.
Anytime.
Award of Washington, Award 2019. 15 catégories sont retenues cette année par le comité d'organisation. Si vous êtes acteur dans ces catégories, ou alors si vous avez des candidats à proposer dans ces catégories, faites-le dès maintenant au 202 553 78 62. Voici les 15 catégories concernées. Best African Community Group, Best African Driving School, Best African Social Media Personality, Best African Embassy, Best African International Female Artist, Best African Gospel Artist, Best African Home Head Agency, Best African International Male Artist, Best African Sapper, Best African Soccer Team, Best African Student, Best African Young Entrepreneurs, Best African Restaurant, Best African Cultural Dance Group. Award 2019. Ne ratez pas le rendez-vous samedi 30 novembre 2019. Award of Washington, Award 2019. 15 catégories sont retenues cette année par le comité d'organisation. Si vous êtes acteur dans ces catégories, ou alors si vous avez des candidats à proposer dans ces catégories, faites-le dès maintenant au 202 553 78 62. Voici les 15 catégories concernées. Best African Community Group, Best African Driving School, Best African Social Media Personality, Best African Embassy, Best African International Female Artist, Best African Gospel Artist, Best African Home Head Agency, Best African International Male Artist, Best African Sapper, Best African Soccer Team, Best African Student, Best African Young Entrepreneurs, Best African Restaurant, Best African Cultural Dance Group. Award 2019. Ne ratez pas le rendez-vous samedi 30 novembre 2019. Award of Washington, Award 2019. 15 catégories sont retenues cette année par le comité d'organisation. Si vous êtes acteur dans ces catégories, ou alors si vous avez des candidats à proposer dans ces catégories, faites-le dès maintenant au 202.
With my guest to attempt to answer this question about Cameroon at the crossroads, dialogue to negotiate, what grounds defines the stakes. I'm calling, receiving my able consultant who's always here with us to make sure that our event goes well. All grounds is right here. Mr. Kenneth, you're welcome.
Thank you for this. I'm glad to be here once more after a very eventful week back in the French Cameroons as well as in the occupied territories of Southern Cameroon. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know when you come, you always have something great to first go with it. I don't want it to bore them. So we all listened to President Biya's speech.
Yes.
An agitated one, of course. Unceremoniously, he came out and finally spoke. So what did you take out of that speech?
Well, thank you, Modest. I did take a number of things out of the speech, which is that the President of Cameroon, His Excellency Paul Biya, decided to come out 2 years after he officially declared a war, and basically 3 years after an escalation of hostilities on the part of the militaire Cameroonese, of which he is the supreme commander-in-chief. Why did he come out after 3 years? Well, I think the facts are self-evident, which is that there was more than enough international pressure on his part for him to do something. I think most people would know and understand that word had it through the grapevine that the United Nations September General Assembly, which is meeting, if he didn't do anything, then the United Nations would, regardless, one way or another, step into Cameroon. And what the president did, he wasn't talking to Cameroonians as such. He was rather talking to the international community. And strangely enough, most Southern Cameroonians, most of us who see ourselves as stateless citizens, the rough equivalent of Palestine, our territories have been occupied. We saw the address more from the side of a declaration of war, phase 2 of the war. Why do I say that? I say that because there's really absolutely nothing in President Biya's speech which shows that he is interested in dialogue. After Amadou Ahidjo violated the 1961 Constitution in 1972 by tampering with the form of the state, that was Article 47 that Amadou Ahidjo violated, then comes President Biya in February of 1984 to secede La République du Cameroun from the Southern Cameroons. When you hear President Biya talk about who do we need to talk to, one must ask whether since 1975, where he was appointed Prime Minister of Cameroon, of the United Republic of Cameroon in 1975, and up to 1982, where now he became president of this United Republic, and he is trying to ask who to speak to. Two things. Number one, like I said a few moments ago, either he's not prepared for dialogue, or maybe we're dealing with a very advanced stage of dementia, where he doesn't even remember who to speak to. So I would like to say that what we have, we're really hoping that the people at the United Nations, especially those who voted on the side of the occupied territories of Southern Cameroons, to come back and help us once more become that independent state, because we have a problem of statehood of the Southern Cameroons, and we do not have an internal national problem in the Cameroons. President Biya in his speech mentioned and talked about a one and indivisible Cameroon. Again, this is what I have always referred to as la tromperie d'Ahidjo Biya. There is no such thing as a one and indivisible Cameroon with a C. What we have is a one and indivisible Cameroon with a K. Why does President Biya Why is he not courageous enough? Why can he not foster that courage to create that one and indivisible Cameroon with the territories like Cameroon Meridional, former Gogola state, or the northern Cameroons? Why can he not go bring back places like places in Central Africa, or what used to be called Ubangi Chari, Furio Muni, what is Equatorial Guinea, and present-day Congo? These were the German one Cameroon. But we have two Cameroons with a C. And that is what the Southern Cameroon's independence movements are working very diligently towards. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great entry there. That is the mix-up people have had all this while, because President Biya, who has finally opened up to dialogue, is kind of telling his puppet, like some ministers who went on air and saying nothing like dialogue. We are dialoguing with who? But Biya has just proven so many of them wrong now, although it is kind of overstayed, but he finally gave in for dialogue. My question is, most of the government supporters, like CPDM members who are the leading party in Cameroon, there's a lot of controversy where the Prime Minister would talk of negotiating for dialogue, and a Minister of Territorial Administration will go on a popular media house and say the contrary. Are we even sure a dialogue would really meet the sense of dialogue, as Biya says?
Okay, you make me talk a little politics. I will.
Sure.
Okay, I want to get into this. It's becoming very interesting. Before I get to that, I want to thank Kenneth for his point. Kenneth say we do not have any internal problem in Cameroon. Am I right, Kenneth?
That is correct.
Okay. It means that we should sit down and talk. And I want that when they come to meet the diaspora, we all must be there to give our own proposition if we want peace. Second, I want to take a case scenario. Because Kenneth brought up the presence of the United Nations just in case President Biya didn't open dialogue. Right? Let's put that case scenario down. Okay. You say they will come if there's no dialogue, right? Is that, if I'm right?
Well,
just refresh my memory, please.
Yeah, well, I think the United Nations was going to come in fully into the occupied territories of Southern Cameroon.
Thank you.
And La République du Cameroon, because for them to try and have the internationally recognized boundaries all the way into point G at C in Bakassi.
Okay.
Which goes down by Sao Tome and Principe and Equatorial Guinea.
Thank you.
Point
Thank you.
G.
Thank you, Kenneth. I'm back. So I want to come back to the position that the United Nations gave about this problem. They say Cameroon is one, that it shouldn't be divided. That's the position. So when they come, I don't know if you guys have spent some time in a country where United Nations had came. They come for the interest. I will tell you that. They've been in Haiti for over 10 years. They're still there. They go there for the interest. Let's say they come. Who do you think they're going to disarm?
They disarm both parties.
Both parties.
You think so?
Yes.
We think so.
No. They work with the legal army in place.
Because if we're talking for a level platform, there should be
I'm telling you how I'm telling you how it operates. I work in Haiti. I'm telling you, when they come, they'll work against the secessionists in southeast, southwest, and northwest. They'll tell them, drop your gun, or we shoot you. That's how they work. Which I don't want. I think that's what President Biya avoided. I don't want those people to go there. When they come, they don't leave. It's going to be more killings.
Can I answer you that? Can I answer that part?
Doctor, Doctor.
1 second, Dr. Santos.
Please.
You let him land.
Santos, you will talk, please, my brother. We want peace. Again, I'm ready. I'm waiting for this delegation to come here so we sit down and talk. Your question, please, moderator. I'm a little lost.
Yes, you were asking a situation where the United Nations come. You were about making a point on who would be disarmed. So in a situation where we understand that if there's a level ground, United Nations who comes in like a referee, even if they're disarming,
the legal army will not be shooting anymore.
Yes, but
they will not be shooting anymore.
There would be a ceasefire.
Of course, right? But they will guide them
because
they don't know the land, they don't know our country. Okay, they will tell these young people, drop the gun and surrender. And it's going to be the DDR. That's why President Biya anticipated the DDR program. With the United Nations, it's tough.
Sure, we'll get back to you.
Yes, sir.
Elaborate on that point. You're boiling with that.
Okay, I want to respond to him. You know, he had taken the position of being under peace.
Yeah,
but his arguments can be very well counteracted, because let me tell you, the United Nations knows exactly what is the fate of our territory and how we arrived at this particular quagmire where we are inside. Because first, the United Nations know that they were first of all the ones who created this problem by giving an inappropriate question for the plebiscite. The independence by association. It is either independence or it is association. Independence by association is tautology, because it's either independence or association. And then again, another error was the absence of a third question. A third question, which is ultimate independence. So what happened? We went into association with La Republic, and when they were committing all these errors through the years by changing the constitution from Aijo, changing the form of the state to Biya, finally absorbing, annexing, and assimilating us, the United Nations stood and watched. So the United Nations came with 2 flags and handed it to Paul Biya to remind him, when this conflict was about to start, that Biya should know that he has 2 countries. He has the Federated State of West Cameroon, Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, and he has his East Cameroon. And he should know that these 2 flags is not what you are practicing. And right as we speak, he has an ultimatum for him to do dialogue. And he planned it at the time that the United Nations General Assembly is sitting, so that he will beg for more time.
Let's work.
So that he will beg for more time.
And so the UN that is seen as the referee here is accused of being at the root. Like
good. Guterres went to Yaoundé, the UN Secretary General. What happened? Collected a golden trophy. The Commonwealth Secretary General, Patricia Scotland, went to Yaoundé, collected golden trophy. Grandmaster to Yaoundé, they are just going and collecting trophies. So we have to investigate to know about these trophies, because it is right that Donald Trump has said that the United Nations has become an international business. And that's why the Human Rights Committee for the United States withdrew from the United Nations Human Rights, because of all this farce. So the United Nations itself has its own share of this blame. Talking about the coming of troops into our territory, let me tell you, we would have preferred if United Nations troops had come long ago and asked us to drop our arms. We would drop it and sit on the table with them, for them, because they are not stupid. They are not stupid. If you are telling us that because we are afraid that United Nations will come and tell us to drop our arms or they shoot us, then the Sudanese will not have had their independence. Because when people clamor, I've told you that a revolution is in stages. We have the pre-contemplation, the contemplation, the preparation, the action stage, the maintenance, and the termination. We have passed all these stages until we are near victory. We are near victory, because if Paul Biya knew that he will overrun our territory in 2 weeks maximum. Here is the 3rd year going to the 4th. He has not succeeded in defeating us, and that is why he is begging for dialogue. And he's begging for a fast dialogue. The dialogue in his usual style of tailoring cosmetic solutions to solve real problems. This dialogue is a farce, it's a dead on arrival, and we have asked that the conditions of this interim government must be made for any dialogue to take place. And these conditions are what? The leaders in jail must all be released, and all our people must be released. The military, the Republic, must pull out its military from our territory. Because the people in jail are the people whom Pobia has to start this, President Pobia has to start this dialogue with. The people in the diaspora who are our leaders. He is still making the same error by thinking that Ambazonians do not have a leadership. We have a leadership. That's why we are able to lock the territory and open it when we want.
Thank you so much.
So those conditions must be met. Then there must be mediators or intermediary or international observers. Then it must be on a neutral venue. If you don't meet all this, you are just going in for a charade that is, and then again, the worst irony in it is that he redeclared another war on us.
I want you to be there when the delegation comes here, please. Me too, I want to be there.
Apart of the conditions that you think would make the dialogue a favorable one, a level platform, such that Cameroonians will get the goals they are looking up to, or Ambazonians too, I would be looking to Mr. Kenneth to see if he has something else to contribute apart from what you said of the conditions that should be met before a dialogue can really meet what a dialogue should be like.
Okay, thank you, Modest. I want to respond to my brother here, Mr. Raymond. One of the few of the things that he did mention earlier, as well as corroborate some of the stuff that Dr. Santos has said. Back when President Biya was celebrating what he called the 50th anniversary of I don't know whether it was unification or independence or reunification, whatever terminology was used. But that thing, whatever it was done in the 52nd year because it was late out. Some of the invitees, one of the most notable invitee was that of the United Nations. I think the Egyptian, his name was Abu Shrek, something of that nature. He presented the President Paul Biya with 2 maps. Why? Because when they go into the United Nations archives and look at their maps, you have the map of La République du Cameroun with its well-defined borders as of 1960. And then you have the map of the Southern Cameroons with its well-defined borders as of 1961, when the independence was obtained with the constitution at the county at Balmoral in England. So that is why the Egyptian of the United Nations presented the President Paul Biya with 2 maps. Now, having said that, I want to move a little bit forward to what you mentioned as the delegation being sent to the diaspora. You see, we all know what took place for those who were politically active back in 1991 with the tripartite talks as far as multi-party politics is concerned in Cameroon, okay? And then we also know what took place with what I would refer to as the Joseph Owona Constitution of 1996. Because the very respectable members of that, who were English-speaking members, former Minister of Justice Benjamin Itowe, as well as Professor Carlson Anyangwe, they respectfully pulled out of this constitutional writing charade. And if I can mention here that Dr. Enon Chong, who obtained his PhD in Georgetown Law School in 1959, was in Cameroon lecturing at the University of Yaoundé. And one of his little students was Professor Joseph Owona, who is much celebrated in the Francophone community. Professor Joseph Owona has written constitutions for so many African countries. Whereas you had his teacher, his lecturer, who was there as an Anglophone, and nobody paid attention to a lecturer of Joseph Owona. Today we have Matthias Ewerik Owonangone, who is some sort of a pseudo-intellectual. He has made 0 publications. He teaches at IRIC in Yaoundé, and then they go about calling him a politologue in the Cameroon environment. These are people who have published nothing, written nothing, but the Cameroon media those that Mugu Belinga is controlling are inviting them all over the place to talk. God alone knows what they are talking. I do not know. Now, why do I bring these guys in? Because since the president Paul Biya seceded, the secessionist in chief Paul Biya seceded La République du Cameroun from the southern Cameroon, which from Foji Goju Dinka decried. Since the President Biya seceded La République, and now the irredentist movements are trying to restore that independence that was a botched decolonization process by the United Nations Committee. What internal dialogue do we have to be doing with the president of La République du Cameroon, who is occupying our territory inside the environs of Cameroon? Prime Minister Yan Philemon, who is some sort of a peer-to-peer, can have a peer-to-peer conversation with President Biya, did everything he could to assuage this process. And President Biya was not interested in anything. I don't even know whether Prime Minister Yan Philemon was ever received or did anything. This is somebody who can have a peer-to-peer conversation with President Biya. Now, somebody who is 20 years his junior has been given instructions to go out there and engage in a political circus. There's nothing that is going to come out of this political circus, just like the tripartite way, absolutely nothing came out of it. So, Mr. Raymond, when you talk about sinecures in office or opportunistic puppets, political puppets coming abroad to stay in hotels and meet people and have a good feeling of a meeting, that they are meeting the diaspora, I can assure you that the real Southern Cameroon's activists are not going to meet with any of these people. The real discussion, the people of Switzerland, I think, if my memory is serving me right, those in Germany, as well as I believe perhaps Canada, are talking about breaking, doing something, engaging in a dialogue. You cannot be engaged in a dialogue where you're the referee, you choose the ball, you choose the goalpost, the players, and everything. I don't think, like as with anything, the president, the incumbent president, Paul Biya, is being behind all of this. There's a lot of bad faith, as you would.
Thank you so much for that detailed illustration. I will get into you now, Dr. Raymond. Do you have anything? We're trying to see now, like attempt to answer the question. We are at the crossroad. Cameroon is at the crossroad now.
Right.
Yes. So, what would be the grounds that would define the stakes according to you? What can you put on board? We're looking like, let this thing be a dialogue, that meaningful dialogue. What should he bring on table such that a dialogue can occur?
A dialogue, the way what I feel from the president's speech is that they'll have a commission that will come here to see us. When they come, they will tell us how they're going to line it down, right?
Yes.
And then we will tell them, this is what we have, we suggest. Just like I'm telling my brother Sanko, if you have something, if they come here, if I meet them, I say, this is what we want to do for the children, for the mothers. This is what we need to do, to be done. Okay? As a humanitarian organization. Politically,
yes, so
we cannot.
Politically, what can you put on table like a proposal now to the much talk about dialogue?
Honestly, I don't want to say anything that I cannot. You see, I don't want to get into it.
If I may, because
dialogue, I mean, all parties must sit down. I think that's why the president wants to.
That is what I expected you to say something. Yeah. Let dialogue meet its status.
What from my sources, I'm sure that some people from Southwest and Northwest will be there. For sure, they will. They'll be there. Okay. So it's a national dialogue. Everybody's welcome. Okay.
Let me give the microphone back. Let Mr. Kenner have 1 minute. Yes, I know you have an elaborate thing to say.
I have one or two suggestions for the government. Well, okay, yeah. Let's just, for lack of a better word, for this so-called dialogue, if you will. there was a meeting between the SDF, the Social Democratic Front, Honorable Joshua Osi, the first vice president of SDF, who led a delegation to meet the Prime Minister. And then after that delegation met, the SDF made a press release. And I don't know what the government has said so far about what the SDF's proposals are. But one of the things that I would like to suggest to the government, okay, the government needs to fully engage Mr. David Abwem Achoyi. Mr. David Abwem Achoyi used to be the governor in the Northwest Province, and I don't recall, I think in the Southwest,
Secretary General.
I think in the Southwest Province as well. Okay, okay. He's used to be the governor in the Southwest. Now, Mr. David Abwem Achoyi, when the President Biya came to power, Mr. David Abwem Achoyi was President Biya's first Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic.
I went to school with his daughter.
So this gentleman, I think, is somebody who the government of Cameroon can fully engage in what they are calling the dialogue.
Okay.
The next thing I would like to suggest to the government of Cameroon is that the Minister of Injustice, Mr. Laurent Esso, should not be involved. The Minister of, the guy who passes for the Minister of Territorial Administration, Mr. Atanga Jipo, should not be involved as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'll be getting to Mr. Dr. Santos now, who has been a while agitating with so many strong points to put out here. Dr. Santos, you have the mic.
I want, first of all, to call our attention that we should not lose focus on this debate or this conversation. The first thing is that we have a conflict, and the conflict has been a war that has overrun the territory for 3 years to 4 years now. Before arriving at contemplation of dialogue, which in this case is a monologue proposal, is because arms were involved and people were killed on both sides, between the Southern Cameroonian Defense Forces or Restoration Forces and the colonial forces of La République du Cameroon. These are the two parties in conflict. The problem is not a national problem. They're trying to paint or give or fine-tune that problem as a general Cameroonian problem is first a misconstruction and a farce. Let me tell you that Biya digressed the problem and minimized and downplayed the problem of the Anglophones by arresting Kamto to change the dynamics of the revolution from independence to a Cameroonian problem. Because the fact is, he wants to fine-tune it to the world that his country entirely is in dispute. The Francophones are disgruntled, clamoring for their own state of what they call the Federal Republic of Grassfield. Those are all digressions. If he arrested Kamto, when he stole the elections of Kamto, locked him up because he wanted to carry the problem across the frontiers of Ambazonia into La République du Cameroon so that he will minimize our problem. And right now, he is seeking for dialogue, or he is trying to pretend dialogue because the international community is clamming on him and giving him preconditions for such negotiations or dialogue. And why is he doing that? Because he's talking only about Northwest and Southwest, Northwest and Southwest. But now when it comes to dialogue, or what he is pretending to be dialogue, he wants to say he will involve the general Cameroonian society and make it to be a national problem. That is farce. Identify the party in conflict and invite them and talk with them. There are arms involved between La République and the restoration forces of Ambazonia. To lay these arms down and restore peace or work out a solution, or we start understanding ourselves on how to deal with this problem, which is the purpose of dialogue. Start to understand yourself, start to start talking among one another, between one another, start to devise a new way of communication, a new dynamics of reasoning, looking into another person's point of view. That is dialogue. It is not mediation yet. It is only after dialogue, successful dialogues, that the terms of mediation and negotiations are crafted. And that should be done by a neutral party who should be an observer. Because nobody who goes into a dialogue should have an authority over another. Nobody who goes into a dialogue should go with preconditions. Preconditions like, you are already telling us that you will appoint your prime minister to chair it, you will appoint this to sit here, you will appoint this to sit here, you are going there to rule by decree. You are not going to listen. And for us of the interim government, this interim government, we have names of people who must be seated on that table for any of our restoration forces to drop their arms. I can give you some of the names, so that Mr. Bier should listen to this and know that if we do not see people like Ambassador Fosun on that table, if we don't see people like Fongoji Dinka on that table, if we don't see Cho Ayaba on that table, if we don't see Seseko Ayok Julius Tabe on that table, Dabni Yerima, Honorable Wiba on that table, if we do not see people who have been working in this revolution night and day, even people like Comrade Bo Habet, John Ba Akoro, and other leaders of all the other groups, including myself here, if we are not sitting on that table, how do we go there when you will be arrested by Paul Biya? He has to grant amnesty and he has to take it to a neutral venue, because he is going there to continue his arrest. Mind you, he has practiced this before. He has taken us virtually from where we began the revolution. He arrested all the teachers and detained them in the guise of dialogue. He sent the very commissions that when the whole world and the embassies were destroyed in Belgium, coffins came out, and in the United States, failed commissions here, failed commissions in South Africa. He is taking us back to Matthew chapter 1 when we are in chapter 10. A repetition of farce.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. We have platform followers who are really seen on with your point. We have Rough Coin. We have Ngenge Laura Tenyonji watching all the way from Europe. We have Steve Monso. We equally Joe Brown who joined. We have James Tato who said, Dr. Tedem, you are on the right point. We have Abe Ervis. Then we have again Regina Abedu. Then Tala Frida just joined. They say you're on point, Doctor. Your points are really intact. I think if the government of Cameroon has really been following to what Cameroonians in the diaspora have been putting on table, that would have really opened their eyes to see the points, because they are talking like the minds of the people on the ground. Perhaps President Biya is surrounded by people who give him false information about the crisis, because it's really going hard on Cameroon. There's an economic plague and Cameroon is barely surviving. If President Biya of the Republic of Cameroon really wants dialogue, he should listen to the voice of the people. Like the host, the guests I have on this platform tonight have really brought in so many great things that can contribute to the peaceful end that Cameroonians are looking up to. I'll be looking to Mr. Kenneth, who has something to add to these points. Very soon from now, we'll be rounding up. When Mr. Kenneth speaks, I will pass you the mic so you equally put something there, so that President Biya and Cameroonians watching who love peace should really pick from what you guys are bringing on board tonight.
Yes, my brother Modest, for a very long time, almost 30 years, we have heard people say that President Biya is with people or surrounded by people who give him false information or information that is not quite accurate. And I really dispute that. I really dispute that. Why do I dispute that? Because, I mean, there are several reasons. This is a president who, how come, for example, how come, let's take Fundi in Yaoundé, the Fundi division, or pick any other division as far as where Cholere is up in the north, or where Yoko, where what's his name, Rene Sadi comes from. Pick any place. How come when President Biya is appointing a minister, he appoints somebody who is fighting with another person? Where did he get that information? For somebody who is ill-informed, at a minimum, President Biya is very, very well informed through official channels and unofficial channels as well. What are unofficial channels? He has family. This is an 87-year-old man. He has children, grandchildren, and in some cases great-grandchildren. He has family. So he has people who call him and say, Pa, this is what's going on. You know, other than what somebody in an office could potentially say. So with that in mind, let me say this. President Biya, we saw him a few weeks back with his wife helping him out on a few issues. And I mean, he's aged, so it only makes for somebody who is of such advanced age to encounter certain health issues which are self-evident.
Age and beginning at a 7-year term of office.
Yes, and as he claims, he was overwhelmed. He claimed on his speech that he was overwhelmingly elected by 71.8%. That's what he said in his speech. So let's give him kudos for that. But here is the thing. The speech which we saw on Tuesday, it was claimed that it had to be recorded on Saturday, and all of a sudden it was not recorded. In addition to that, the president had to travel to, is it Japan? For something, some African conference type thing, where many other African presidents were there, but he did not travel. So why, not only did he not travel, but his speech was abruptly postponed, and so on and so forth. Now, the people who are surrounding him, here's what I'm going to tell you, Modest. When Amadou Ahidjo took over in 1961, when the French people who were there at the time, you had Jean-Paul Ramadier, you also had Louis-Paul Ojula, as well as Pierre Mesmer. When these guys destituted André Marine Bida from the prime ministership of East Cameroon, they brought in Ahidjo, who was much more milder, and they could manipulate Ahidjo in whatever form they could. Amadou Ahidjo at the time, within the intellectual circles of East Cameroon, was very much referred to as a grand répétiteur. The reason being that Amadou Ahidjo would just take his paper, a speech, and just be reading it. And Amadou Ahidjo was reading what was given to him by these French guys. He didn't even know what was there. He was just reading it. That is why the intellectuals were calling him le grand répétiteur. Now, given the speech I saw President Biya deliver on Tuesday, I did not see that as a speech that he had any input whatsoever in that speech. I believe these ENAM graduates who surround him today, and some of those who are almost semi-educated that he has chosen them to be in very important positions, made huge contributions to that speech. Famendongo, who they call Odontol, Professor Famendongo, who has his own stories with the computers that he got, Famendongo may have contributed to that speech, together with President Biya's distant Lembe-Yezum brother, Ferdinand Gongo, at the Secretary General, who is Secretary General at the presidency, whom he has given permanent signature in violation of the Constitution of Cameroon. These are the type of people who presented His Excellency a speech for him now to become a grand répétiteur. That is not a speech that I believe the president himself had any input whatsoever. So we need to question quite a few things here, and save our country from, when I talk of our country, I'm talking about the occupied territories of Southern Cameroon. We need to de-escalate the hostilities. These guys need to withdraw their army of occupation from there, and we also help them save their country. I mean, once we develop the Southern Cameroons, we can invite them over later on in that. But for now, that we are at war, we need a de-escalation of hostilities and some peace to reign.
Thank you so much. Before I pass the mic to you, information reaching our news desk. President Biya on his way to Switzerland with a powerful delegation. You have something to contribute to the rounding up position.
Oh, so we're about to round up?
Yes.
You will still have some minutes. I'll come back to you. You have something before I give the mic to Dr. Santos. You should say something.
Is it my last time to speak?
No, you still have time to say something.
No, okay.
Yeah.
So I have nothing to say about the trip. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about the trip because we're not concerned about the present trip.
Sure.
So my question even to you, the moderator.
Yeah.
My good brother Kenneth, President Kenneth, he's been a good president in the community. I love him.
Sure.
We both fought. Who's the guy in Boston? Who is that? Dr. Who?
It's okay, yeah.
Someone tried to mess with Kenneth. I took over. To Dr. Santos, Kenneth, and the moderator. Questions?
I'll give the questions, sir. I thought you were bringing your ideas on what we're talking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
yes. I give the questions. You don't have a question to ask us.
That's true.
Yes.
I have no question to ask you. Sorry.
If you have something to chip in to bring a solution,
I'll pay the fine.
Solution.
Yeah. Sorry. I worry about the mothers and the children. Okay, I'm waiting for the dialogue to come, so that we'll give our own folder. We give our own presentation because we need to have full access to those zones to help. As of now, I have my question. How do you reach out with these people that run the war zone from southwest and northwest?
That is why I said I give the question because equally.
No, asking my brother over there.
How will you equally, first of all, just go to the northwest and southwest as they've been talking of school to resume with the military that keeps being deployed there? We have the Amazonian forces. It is a war zone. We say practically we sit perhaps in the diaspora or in Yaoundé and Douala and talk about the northwest without knowing what is really going on there.
Who is blocking children from going to school?
Equally, if there's no security, we cannot prevent education.
Children are going to school. They're being beaten up.
The stray bullets have equally killed
my friend, let children go to school. That's what we all say. Let children go to school.
I would like to come in. I would like to come in.
Children must go to school. Do you want the children to go to school?
I would like to come in.
What would they become after 4 years?
Look at it. I noticed.
Say peace to reign.
So they shouldn't go to school. Is that right?
Mr. Moderator.
Dr. Raymond. Can you send your child to school in...
Children are going to school.
Answer me, sir. Can you send your child to school with the status quo in Bamenda?
Let them go to school, my friend.
Northwest and Southwest now?
Why would the army be there to protect children?
Answer me this question. Can you send your child to school with what is going on in the Northwest and Southwest now? Can you send your child to go to school?
It is safe when children go to school. They're protected.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, can you
I will come to you.
Can you end the argument and then let me speak?
It's not safe for children. Everybody wants people to go to school.
That's not true. That's not true. Children are being beaten.
This is an entirely different conversation from the topic.
You don't want them to
Dr. Raymond, don't bring digression as a technique to dissuade us from this conversation. One person at a time, please. You have been talking here. I want to.
Yes, sir. I'm channeling it back to you.
You're asking the
yes,
question.
I believe we should end this argument because it's not the topic in question.
Sure.
School is another thing. Dialogue is what we are talking about.
Should be sacrificed.
Let me tell you.
For your interest.
Don't disrupt the conversation. Don't disrupt the conversation. Let me tell you. That's digression.
Debate. Let's give room to Dr. Santos.
Yes,
something to say
gentlemen.
The talks that
gentlemen, with all indulgence and all passionateness, I want to sincerely apologize to viewers because I don't believe that we can use some technique of trying to digress this conversation. School is a topic that should be discussed profoundly on another day because this school issue is part of the war. School comes as a result of a consequence of the war. We are not saying that the war is one-sided. Wars are fought by both parties. But when there is war, we want to know who lit the first fire. When there was war in the Balkans, we always ask who was the one who lit the first fire in the Balkans. If La République, President Paul Biya in an airport passing declared war on us, and pump forces the next day into our territory that went committing arson, killing people, raping our daughters, killing mothers, chasing everybody into the forest to become refugees in foreign land. As we sit here in Mexico, we have 3,000 to 4,000 people along the stretch of Mexico from Amazonia and across the territory. And then so the issue I want to say is that we have to create an environment conducive for us to start speaking, which we call dialogue. That environment and that stage has not yet been set for us to come into and sit down and talk. Going around and enjoying taxpayers' money, repeating the same trips all over across the world and thinking that you will achieve other results is not what is going to yield fruit. Bringing us ministers here, flying on airplanes as we speak, Bia is on the way with a delegation to Switzerland, eating taxpayers' money, sleeping in hotels around the world, signing cocoa deals and oil deals just to take the money and go and fight war on innocent Amazonians. This is horrible. Borrowing from the whole world, borrowing from China, borrowing from World Bank, borrowing everywhere just to buy arms, to kill armless and innocent people of southern Cameroons. This is where we find ourselves, with a leader who is 87 years old, who has gotten everything that he needs in life, who has been on seat in the time of his own children, in the time of his great-grandchildren, and in our own times, has decided to block all offices with 72 years to 102 old people, ready to die on those positions, and he comes and asks us, what is marginalization? That's the very question you have just done here by coming to who is blocking to Central School. Bia, come and ask us that, what is marginalization? The author of marginalization, asking us about marginalization. Why are all the diasporan who are here, majority of the Amazonians who left the country, all fully intellectuals that left Buya University, left Yaoundé University with no jobs in the country, becoming taxi drivers, bensikiners, and all of them now all of a sudden are benefiting from the Western system of scholarships and student loans that they have been able to acquire these academics with which to challenge the status quo. I know that for sure. Paul Biya must be surprised when he sees some of us talking like this now. Because this is not the us that he trashed in the streets before we left. Some of us trekked through the mountains, through Egypt, through Ethiopia, through all mountains. Some came by foot. Some came by sea. Some have never seen airplanes. But they have now gone back to study their history. And they have now gone back to rewrite the wrongs of their parents and great-parents. And this is where we are right now. If we want to write it, we have to write it well. Because if Paul Biya does not give us that opportunity that guarantees real dialogue to occur, we are prepared to write our independence with our own blood. 8 million Amazonians will write their independence with their blood. Mr. Moderator, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. That is intellectual honesty. Like Mr. Kenneth rightly said, we should have a level ground. We cannot be at the same time a referee and a player and expect to lose a match. I think right now, I'll be coming back to you. You surely have the last round. Put in your best. Bring to table what you think can make the upcoming dialogue, this much talk about dialogue, to be a better one, if really we're going to have one. You, Dr. Raymond.
You keep on calling me doctor. You have to give me prepare a special graduation for me. Thanks for honoring me. let me say this. For as you call me francophone, can I call you anglophone too?
But I didn't call you francophone throughout this debate.
No, you did not.
Okay, so you're putting words in my mouth.
Dr. Santos, are you francophone or anglophone?
I am Amazonian from the southern Cameroons. Okay. Francophone, anybody can be a francophone and anybody can be anglophone. Okay. We are taking us to linguistics. Okay. Because a linguistical border is not what we are advocating for. We are advocating for our stolen territory by thieves on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah.
A territory that does not belong to them.
You
And they have been robbing all of us, stealing all our oil monies and
No.
timber and everything. They have to pay us deficits, yet they charge our leaders with life imprisonment and they have to pay $250 billion.
Okay, I understand. We all excited.
That is a problem.
Yeah, you gave your minute.
That is a problem.
Question. I
Please,
told you
my
I
brother,
asked the question.
yeah, moderator. No. I allow him to talk. That's my brother.
Okay, go ahead with the other point.
We have a good moderator. He's not cutting off anybody. Okay. I want to just make a little basic point, right? Are we not slaves of this imperialist? The language that we speak, is it our native language? We are divided by language. They
Not at
came
all.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Santos rightly said we're not talking linguistic.
Linguistics here.
No. I just say
You asked the
because
question and you brought that question.
they
to be
push
part
me to
of the
this side. They
debate.
say
No.
you have to speak French. They push my brothers and sisters to that side.
We should
They
not
say,
reduce our
"You
problem
will
to be
speak
a French and
English."
English problem.
We have people from the other
That's
side of
minimization of the
Cameroon that
problem.
speaks
My
English
friend,
better than some of the
I
people.
went to business school Cameroon with my friend from Southwest. That you know, young.
You brought in your own point of debate. Say, I asked you a
we
point. What
asked
are
your
you
younger
bringing
sister.
to table for a possible good debate?
We studied together.
That is my question.
Yeah.
What do you have to bring to table for a possible good debate? That would be a level-grounded debate
I want to see what they offer
or dialogue.
for dialogue. I want to be part of it because we'll be really concerned as NGOs, right? Okay, we want to be part of the process when it comes to rebuilding these schools, the mothers on the street, those that are in the bushes, and then training for these youngsters. What they call the DDR. We did it with the United Nations in Haiti. We have experience. You can go on our Facebook page, Santuti, and find you go there in the album, you'll see everything. We know what we do. So, if you allow me, it's just a basic question. We all have children, right?
We have children.
We have children. They go to school, right?
We're listening.
Yes. Why all the children shouldn't go to school?
You are coming back to the same question.
Yes.
You said it was diverted
They
from
must
the
go to
point
school
of the
too.
debate.
Let's find a future for these children. And now,
Are you telling Bia or you are telling Ambazonians?
everybody,
Tell Paul Bia that before dialogue, he should make an environment for children to go to school.
Conducive environment.
He should withdraw all his forces
When I
along the
see-
streets
when I
because
see-
nobody has a
when
lamb
I
to
see
sacrifice
Ambazonian
for a
building
child.
up
Let me
children
ask
that
you
are
a
going
very,
to
a
school,
very brief question.
Take your
hurt.
forces out of our
Let me
territory
ask you a
and we
quick
will know
question.
what to do.
Yes, my
Would you prefer to be alive or go to school and die?
children are not being hurt when they go to
Life
school.
and education, which is
Life
important.
and
No,
education,
no,
which one
don't
is
try to
important?
divert it. Children are being
You
beaten by
divert-
Is it
Ambazonian
life
when they go
or
to school.
education that is important?
What are
Who
you
is
bringing
saying
on
no
board?
school? Who is saying no
Mr.
school?
Raymond, you have 30 seconds.
Who is declaring
Mr.
that
Raymond,
school?
Mr. Raymond.
You are digressing
Who
the
declared-
conversation.
Ghost town.
You are digressing.
Raymond, Dr. Raymond lives.
Is it the
You are
government
digressing.
saying ghost town?
It's like you don't
Is
have
it-
a
is
point.
it the
You want
government?
to derail the conversation
No,
because
is it
the
the government
argument here
saying
is
no school
above
today?
all.
Dr. Raymond.
Is it the government saying ghost town?
Dr. Raymond.
School
Dr.
is one
Raymond,
aspect
my
of the
question
war.
is-
It's one consequence
the
of the
government
war.
is not declaring ghost town. The army is not
Dr.
declaring
Raymond,
ghost town.
let's behave
Let the
ourselves.
children go to school.
Let's behave
Let
ourselves.
everybody
Our
come out of the
children,
bush
our-
and go to DDR.
Our children, our wives, and people are following this.
Our
platform.
children go to school
We
here.
have never had.
Why not those that are back home?
Dr. Raymond.
You are not
please.
following the rules
Let's
of the
give them a
debate.
chance
Dr.
too.
Raymond,
Let's
Follow
stop
the
this.
rules of the
Please.
debate, please. There's a
That is
moderator.
Let's stop playing the game.
We have had a point. on
Let's
this
don't
one.
use the children as a shield for this nonsense war.
Dr. Raymond, we have had
Don't
a
declare
debate
ghost
on
town.
this.
Let them go to school.
We have had a debate on
Tell
this.
the children
Mr.
to
Kenneth,
come out
you
of
have
the bush.
something to
Drop
say.
the gun.
You have something
That's
to
it.
say.
Respect time, please.
Yeah,
After
you
this,
talk more than
Mr.
me.
Moderator, you have the floor.
You should be a
I want the
preacher.
moderator to talk.
I open
Not
the
you.
church for
Yoruba.
you, Santos.
You are talking
I
on
love
one
you, man.
point.
Dr. Raymond,
I love
It's
all you
moderator,
guys.
go ahead.
our platform followers are not happy with the way you are approaching the point. You are diverting from the
No,
point of
no,
debate.
no. I
Mr.
say,
Raymond,
who is
Mr.
declaring the ghost
Mr.
town?
Mr. Kenneth, you have a
Ghost town means that nobody should go
Mr. Kenneth,
out.
you have the
Say
mic.
something,
Mr.
please.
Kenneth has the
Okay,
mic.
Kenneth.
I think that the southern Cameroon, the one of the root causes of the southern Cameroon's problem was with Amadou Ahidjo, and probably through France or the French, if I can put it that way. In 1965, because one of the arguments that they had was that, the Premier John Foncha would be Vice President of the Federal Republic, and then the Prime Minister of East Cameroon would be the President. So Amadou Ahidjo became President and John Foncha Vice President. Forward time a little bit to 1965, The second in command was Ngomjua. And the proceeds from all the Southern Cameroon's development agencies, whether it was the West Cameroon Development Agency, Santa Coffee Estate, CDC,
Yukao.
Yukao is French, from Bafoussam. No, we had no idea about Yukao in West Cameroon or in the Southern Cameroons. I'm talking about the National Produce Marketing Board and then Cameroon Air Transport, Cameroon Air Transport, and so on and so forth. All that money was coming to the Southern Cameroon Treasury. When Honorable Augustine Ngomjua was Prime Minister, he had a problem with Amadou Ahidjo, whereby Amadou Ahidjo was now requesting that money to come over to Yaoundé. But Ngomjua was quite resistant to that because those were not one of the agreements that were ever tabled on on what had to happen and on the federal agreement. Anyway, cut a long story short, there were issues with Ngomjua, and then not only was Amadou Ahidjo very heavy-handed with the Southern Cameroon side, but in East Cameroon, in La République, Cameroon Oriental, the Prime Minister at the time, who was also Vincent de Paul Ahanda, he also resigned in protest at Amadou Ahidjo's heavy-handedness. And I don't know, I think as after that, either it's Simon Chungi who came or Charles Assaleh. I don't remember Assaleh who came or Charles Assaleh. But anyway, the point is this. You see, when you have turf wars in a mafia, when one mafia boss wants to override the other mafia boss, they engage in really rough-handed tactics, a lot of bootlegging, and in fact, killing. So certain intelligence services were sent to West Cameroon, and it ended up that Mr. Ngomjua was killed. Yes, the premier was killed. And then what became in anathema to Southern Cameroon's parliamentary culture, we had a prime minister appointed. S.T. Muna was appointed as Prime Minister of Cameroon, who was not even, I don't even know whether, in fact, I don't think S.T. Muna was a parliamentarian, an MP at the time he was appointed Prime Minister. So which party was he representing? So these are some of the things, the root causes of our problems. In the Southern Cameroons, that when we tell the people there, now let me say this, President Biya used to play golf in Likomba. He played golf in Likomba where the CDC had some farms. So he is very familiar, unless he doesn't know who to talk to, as he claims now, after I don't know how many years. That's why I talk about an advanced stage of dementia. He used to play golf in Likomba, so he knows the people that he needs to talk to, who to appraise him of what he may even have forgotten. Now, Amadou Ahidjo behaved like a typical mafia boss. He looted the Southern Cameroon's treasury. And until this day, Cameroon Bank, all of these institutions that were in West Cameroon, everything, even equipment, was taken from what you used to call PWD, Public Works Departments, and
caterpillars and everything.
Caterpillars, and so many things were taken out of the West Cameroon. We used to have our water done by community agencies. Our
mobile wing police force
my grandfather fought in
was
a
dissolved.
War whereby the WADA, the
National Produce Marketing Board,
the fine to the Bali, who used that money to develop their water supply. So anyway, Ahidjo looted the Southern Cameroon's treasury, and until this day, the French, after discovering oil, now because the French had to go through the Southern Cameroon's government, and never wanted to do that. So they came up with this scheme to annihilate the Southern Cameroons completely and go through their stooges, Amadou Ahidjo, in East Cameroon. And of course, Paul Biya is still the Amadou, the continuation of the Amadou
marionette.
Paradigm. So, but for us to maintain peace, okay, we cannot ignore our history.
Of course, nobody.
No, we cannot ignore our history. And we Africans, we need to learn quite a bit, even from those in the Middle East, who engage in proper revenue sharing for their oil. The people in the Middle East, they don't grab everything to themselves. Oil comes from Isangele, in Jiang Division, and other areas in the various oil blocks. When our MP from Jiang Division, Mwali Penja, asked Amadou Ahidjo about what was happening to oil money, in fact, Amadou Ahidjo almost killed Mwali Penja. It is rumored that he asked him, Amadou Ahidjo asked him that, "Na you mami oya," you know. So where you come into the Oroko territory, right? There is absolutely nothing there. Nothing. There hardly any roads. This is where oil comes from. There's nothing there. So I think that we as Africans, we need to engage in some sort of revenue sharing for, and that it could be a proposal for the government. But here's the thing. The problem is we have a government in place that has engaged in bad faith for more than 40 years, since 1975. So why do you want, people are not mugus as you call them. They're not going to believe anything you say. The so-called dialogue, the Southern Cameroons, we need a neutral party. Hopefully the Europeans who caused this problem, the Swiss, the Germans, Canadians, if they want to come in, because the African Union, in fact, the Southern Cameroon SCAPO, Pa Augustin Dangam and co. had won cases against La République du Cameroon in the Banjul court in Gambia. And the African Union has done absolutely nothing about all of this. That is why we need parties who matter, parties who can enforce what they're saying, exactly, like the United Nations or the United States, with a coalition of the willing to come and separate La République from the Southern Cameroons. The boundaries are there, so if they can do it, that would just be fine for us.
Thank you, Mr. Kenneth. This is talking historical
honesty.
Because historical honesty. We are about to round the platform now. I'll be giving you 3 minutes to round up what you have to contribute to the peace talks that is coming up. Dr. Santos has been really positive throughout this debate, and you've given so many strong points because platform followers have really shared your views. I think you have another powerful one to come up with, so Cameroon and the debate dialogue organizers should benefit from that.
I want to appreciate, first of all, every one of us who have showed up today to talk about this topic. I know that today is watching this. Bia and his delegation, even inside the airplane going to Switzerland, are watching this because there are television stations on board. I want to appreciate my brothers for the good. I know Mr. Raymond, Dr. Raymond has been on a hot seat today because we are like if anybody watching, televiewers must know that if you want to rate this debate, I already know the score's gonna be 3-1. I know you were on a hot seat, like on the spot, but the point is we are here to brainstorm to make things better, because we want to save humanity. As you are coming for peace, we want peace for everybody, but that peace must only exist when what has been stolen from you or taken from you inappropriately by a thief, the thief must acknowledge that I robbed, for him to have clemency. If La République du Cameroon is not able up to this day to acknowledge the atrocities and mayhem that they have meted on the people of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, because accepting alone that you have committed wrong is a step towards a better understanding for all of us. You can be forgiven. There is no crime or no sin that cannot be forgiven. We always forgive, although we don't forget, but we've learned to forgive. And forgiving at this juncture will mean that you don't continue in the same pattern or the same psychopathology of doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. We failed. Biya failed. President Biya has failed repeatedly and repeatedly in all forms of charade dialogue, in all forms of taking us to chapter 1 when we are already in chapter 10 and repeating the same circle while he's progressing in his age and moving towards his cemetery or mortuary. We want to call on him to respect the conditions of the people of Ambazonia, the interim government in particular, that there must be conditions that must be met for us to have a dialogue. And if we do not participate in that dialogue, our boys will not lay their arms down. He has to withdraw the troops from our territory. He has to liberate all our leaders, and he has to lead by example by beginning that conversation for dialogue with the other legitimate presidents in his keeping. Because he stole Kamto's victory. And Kamto is legitimate, he is illegitimate. So I want to call on him to respect the terms and conditions. He has to bring in intermediaries who will serve as mediators. He doesn't have to go for a neutral venue that we will not be abducted, or like he did in Nigeria with our other leaders. We have to bring in take the first step before the second. Don't just call a dialogue a repetition of the same thing that happened in South Africa, in Belgium, and here. Diaspora. Which diaspora? You are fighting a war with Ambazonians. Ambazonians are the one you are dialoguing with. You should be dialoguing with Ambazonians, not dialoguing with even Kamto Kam. That should be a separate dialogue for La République du Cameroon, not a dialogue for war, to end this war. If these conditions are not met with, Aluta continua, the war continues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santos. This has been a very powerful landing from your side. You started great and you are ending great. This is recommendation that we should respect the historical facts, the root causes of this very crisis that Cameroon has been into for 3 years now. I'll be giving a last round to Mr. Kenneth, equally to say something, and you will have a minute because you already exhausted so many minutes before we round up. Mr. Kenneth, you have the mic.
Thank you, Modest. I would be very brief, and I want to speak directly to the young boys who make up the Militaire Camerounais, the youngsters who are being sent to, I don't know what they call it, Kosovo, for lack of a better word, to the southern Cameroons, to the occupied territories, to go and mine, kill their brothers and sisters and burn villages in the southern Cameroons. Please start refusing to go. Some of you have already done that. Refuse to go to the southern Cameroons. You know why? The speech on Tuesday was another provocation. It was another provocation for an escalation of hostilities, phase 2 of the war. And every southern Cameroonian understood it. And they know that they will respond appropriately. And they already are. It was a huge amount of motivation. Please do not go to the southern Cameroons, those who are in the military. Do not go there.
Thank you.
Because the war is bound to continue. And one final thing. To the people or the others, who are fighting the restoration forces, if you can call them that, we want to thank you immensely for what you have been doing. You can see that the president's speech on Tuesday, he did some reverse psychology as usual, blaming the scorched earth policy on the patriotic restoration forces of the southern Cameroons. I think that with the amount of technology we have today, satellite imagery, we are not in 1960. Unfortunately, President Biya is talking as if we are in 1960, as if Yuri Gagarin landed on the moon just a few days ago, So we are not in 1960. It is self-evidently clear that it is the military of La République which is engaged in genocide in the southern Cameroons. And he used that word genocide because many of these guys, including Betty Asomo, the Minister of Defense, they know what awaits them in a few years' time at the International Criminal Court. So those who are doing whatever they're doing, just as with what happened in Hitler's time, where the Jews were killed, and many of those guys ran away and went to South America and changed their names. You don't have any place to hide, especially nowadays with the technology that we have. There are satellites all over the world, geostationary orbits running around the Earth, which are pointing directly in the southern Cameroons, and everybody know, quite a few people know what is happening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kenneth. You have 1 minute.
Okay, Mr. Moderator. So I thought that we came here for peace and dialogue, but it's ending to be that they're motivating youngsters to go to war. I have a few points. No, you're seeing what they're doing, you motivate them to continue,
You have
Mr.
your
Kenneth.
point to land
Let me
there.
continue, please, Mr. Kenneth. Don't continue. Thanks, Mr. Moderator. I have a word for these young Ambazonians. Think about your future. We are here in the diaspora. We live very well. We have everything. We can eat, we can feed ourselves, we can help you guys down there. Think about your future. Our children goes to school, but yours don't. Parents, our children go to school, your children don't. Stop this ghost town. Let these children get their own future. They're here, their children are being well fed, they go to good school. What about these children back home? Give them a chance. They must go to school too.
Thank you.
Second, I just want to conclude, Mr. Moderator.
Yes,
If you can
round
give me
last-
the 10
last
seconds,
5
please.
seconds.
Yeah, okay. To all Ambazonian leaders, including all that are behind this war, I know some from the government, some people are making big money. To you guys, I want to make this statement that I love. You don't engage in a war. People without law and moral, without a day coming that they will claim the price of the suffering. I'm done.
Thank you.
You want me
Dr.
to say it in
Raymond.
French?
Thank you, Dr. Raymond. You have
Thank you, sir.
exhausted your time. Dear platform followers, it was a great debate with 3 illustrious great guests that really graced the show with very rich information. I will be promising you that next week, Friday, same time, or within the week, we'll be bringing a very big political name in the Cameroonian political spheres. We are looking up to bring him in. We want that the moment the flyers go on live, you people should take an appointment with us, same time next week. Dear platform followers, it's been a great one. I thank my guests who have braved the odds of congestion on the streets to be here. Thank you so much for the contributions, Dr. Santos, Mr. Kenneth, and Dr. Raymond. We thank you so much, and we hope you had a good time too, and we look up to another opportunity to bring you guys back, perhaps with a different topic. It's been a great one. We thank you all for taking this appointment to watch this show. Next time, same time, we'll be there to entertain you. You have a good one.
Always
Thank
a
you very
pleasure.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was nice coming.
Sure.